enlivening musings, and the pleasure fairy, here to inspire more daily pleasure and aliveness into your life. Amp up your zhuzhiness. Invite your weird out to be loved on for radical self-love, enhancing your life and relationships. Go to crystalfranco.com for free and paid experiences. How well do you know your body or your partner's body or anything like that? Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal, and today I want to touch upon knowing our anatomy. This week has brought a lot of snippets of awareness in my sphere of how much women specifically don't know about their anatomy. Leading with the concept of women not knowing their body, it makes sense in the sense of the medical field has been male dominated for experiments, everything science-wise has been very dominated with the male body. I mean, this is one reason why women haven't understood a lot of things about their body in that way, because we were seen as just smaller men. The hormonal system, was never looked at as the unique, incredible thing that it is. Our brains and how different they are wasn't really dived into until later. The way medications work, just all of it, everything in the medical system was about men and for men, and it didn't translate over for women until the last however long it's been. I'm not going to try to be a history teacher here. So it makes sense that we don't have as much of this knowledge in that sense. On top of that, things like, hysteria with mental concepts based on our hormones and things that were so misunderstood. And then on top of that, also things like being shamed and shunned and shut down for self-touch and exploration. And just there's so much as to why we don't know our bodies the way we could. And yet all of that has been changing. It's been changing. And still we're seeing things where women don't know their bodies. They don't know how their hormones work in their reproductive cycle. When somebody steps into like natural family planning or just simply knowing their cycle, they can feel clueless. And then men are needing to understand this about women's bodies, because it's how much do you know about your own body and how much do you know about your partner's body? I mean, it's a mystery if you haven't been diving into any of it and exploring all of it and learning about it. What we learn just in school doesn't touch upon hardly anything. Everybody who's gone through a mainstream education will know ... And yet they're sitting there like, how is it that the vaginal canal is only under 4 inches long and yet larger things can fit in and come out? Okay, well, we can explore all of that. Like, how does that happen? Or why are people asking where or how does the internal vagina end? Okay, And so, and these are things where it's like, no, you're not stupid for not knowing that. And everybody needs to do better to understand what is going on in their body. And especially leading into being able to have really epic sex and like connection with one another and understanding and appreciation of one another. I mean, especially if we do go into like a heteronormative relationship, being able to know and understand the other person's body and like the way they shift and change, especially for instance, men understanding women and our cyclical nature. And I mean, there's just so much. There's so much there. There's so much to understand. And I also witness in my sphere, it's not just people being like, I don't know my body. I'm also witnessing the amazing humans out there who do want to learn this stuff. All the men who are like, what? Oh my gosh, tell me about this. I want to understand this. And now I better get to know you, like I get to know you better. I should probably say it that way, because now I have this fuller understanding. And that makes it so much easier to navigate life because you understand this nature of this person and how it's going to shift and change and what is happening. And then if we bring that into the realm of turn on and everything in that realm, now we get to understand a whole other gamut of stuff, right? I mean, at one point, I was so inspired by all of this that I created the pleasure anatomy for vulvar bodies, right? And in that, my main focus was about erectile tissue in the vulva body. Because so often people don't even know that we have all of this erectile tissue and that it all swells and does all this cool stuff the same way that when you see a penis get engorged, right? It's erectile tissue. And we have that too. And it's just fascinating. And it was really fascinating to me at the time that I made that course, which is online. You can still go watch it. I'm really excited about it in the class. I'm really excited. You can feel my enthusiasm. But at that time, it was so wow to me that people didn't know that we had that tissue also. And I just was so into it that I had to like just share it with everybody. And on top of that, I was really into like the clitoral network, but I didn't pull a ton of that in. And that is a whole other sphere and like really understanding that. I mean, honestly, the other day I was seeing about the clitoris, I mean, it really covers so much inside. Like, go look at like a real picture of how broad it is and how much like space it basically covers, right? And so there are fun things like inside internally, things like the G spot and everything are actually still stimulating the clitoris. So in ways, it's like everything is considered a clitoral orgasm. It's just, it is different. It's different spots and different areas are being lit up. And from this, though, what I saw recently was the post about birth. So if you don't know this about me, I did a lot with the birth world too. And so I love when things collide like that. And it was talking about, the baby's head and how it's pressing on that spot. It's pressing there against the clitoris and it's stimulating that to get the vaginal canal even more lubricated for the baby to slide out. And how that's one way that orgasmic births are really possible because it's resting there and it's stimulating the clitoris on that internal side. And I mean, this stuff is like, whoa, right? I mean, if you didn't know this right now, are you just not like, wow? It's so fascinating. And to be able to know these things about ourselves, our own body, so that we can then share that with our partner and or as the partner lover of somebody to be able to learn about how their body works, especially things like their arousal system. I mean, this is fun stuff, right? So the more you know. So yes, I just wanted to come on here to talk about the importance of that and say, hey, maybe this is something that might be fun to go on a little deep dive for so that you can explore and know your own body even more, which can bring you more health and more aliveness and or knowing your partner's body as well so that you can really just understand who they be and how they work and how they function, and then go into all of the fun arousal aspects as well. I think this is important. I think that we as a species and community really benefit from knowing and understanding how our bodies work, at least to certain degrees. It is great that we have professionals who are well versed in this, that, and the other. And I feel like some certain basic knowledge stuff is really, really, really important. So go exploring. If you want, you can hop on to crystalfranco.com and get Pleasure Anatomy for Vulva Bodies. It's fun. All right. So here's your inspiration to go learn a tidbit or two about your body that maybe you didn't learn today on today's episode. And if you want to, you can share your tidbit of knowledge with me on Instagram at the Crystal Franco, because you know I love hearing from you. All right, good day. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with a friend to spread the love. Connect with Crystal on Instagram at the Crystal Franco or on her site crystalfranco.com. Enjoy.